Welcome back to Why Make Your Own Rubric, Part 2. So now I'm going to double click anywhere in the body, which will bring me to the body of the work. Each of these rubrics is based on a table, and so what we're going to need to do is go to this tab called Insert. Left click on Insert, and just below we'll find this table. We're going to left click, and now we don't have to click on anything, we just have to sort of drag and hover over the number of columns and rows that we want. We can select as many as we would like to, but for this first portion where we're going to place the student name, class, and date, we're going to need 6 rows, or I'm sorry, 6 columns. And so I'm going to left click, and this gives me my 6 columns. Now these are fully adjustable, as I'll show you in a little while, but we're going to first of all put student name, and then we'll hit tab, and this is where the student will put his name or her name. Then we'll move to class, and this is where the class will be identified, and then date, which will identify the date of the use of this rubric. And again, these are fully modifiable. What I'm going to do is simply hover over these lines here and actually move them over. When you see it turn to a double line like this, you can actually move these back and forth to make yourself more space where you think you'll need it. In this case, my student name I think is going to need a little more space. The class identifier is probably going to need a little bit less space, so I'm actually going to tighten that up a little bit by moving these lines around, and then left click and drag. And again, just a nice easy way to move these around and to make it a little bit better as far as spacing for the name, the date, and the class. Okay, when you're finished with that, we're going to simply left click outside of that and then click enter. Now the reason we click enter is because if you don't, you're going to run into some problems with Microsoft Outlook trying to merge your tables together. We don't want that, so we definitely want a separate table. So I again click outside and click enter one time. Then we're going to go back up to the insert button and we're going to insert another table. So I left click on table, and this time we're going to need to have 5 rows and 5 columns. So basically we're going to hover over until we see it say 5 by 5 table, and I'm going to left click. And like I said, we're not worried about the design at this point, we're just worried about the basic content. Alright, so the title of this first column is going to be criteria. So I'm going to type in criteria, then I'm going to hit tab, and the score for this is going to be a 4, 3 for the next one, tab, 2, tab, 1. That's a pretty simple layout. You have your criteria in this column. Whatever's in this column represents a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. Very simple. Again, these can be changed to suit your preferences, 3, 2, 1, 0 if you would like, or even to add columns and rows. That's something else you could do. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. Alright. The next title we're going to use is going to be content, and this could be adjustable to your preferences as well. And I'm going to put mastery, because this number 4 represents a mastery of the content. Number 3 would be an articulate demonstration of the content. Number 2 would be an adequate. And number 1 would be needs assistance with the content. The next one, just again, these are just samples. You can put whatever you want in here. The next criteria might be form. And for form, maybe I would use categories such as advanced or at goal or proficient or basic. Alright, the next one may be, I don't know, something like participation. Participation, and maybe their participation was great, or maybe it was good, or maybe it was just okay, or maybe it was poor. Alright, and then any other that you wanted to add. Okay, and again, this is just to give us some sample content to play around with. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is click outside this table and we're going to insert a footer. So I'm going to go back up to Insert, scroll over to where it says Footer, and it's probably a good idea to pick the same type of footer. And since we used annual for the header, we'll use annual for the footer, and it looks like it gives us a page number. Now again, you could change that to something else, but I don't see why we would. So for now, I'm going to put just a little note to remind myself what this is. Mr. Schneider teaching a lesson on Rubric design in Microsoft Office 2010. Alright, something like that. And again, these little tags at the bottom can really help you to remember what the rubric was created for and is a good way for organizing.